Hi, folks, and welcome back. So this week we are talking about utilitarianism. And actually, we're going to be on this topic for the next couple of weeks. We're going to see a moral theory that is diametrically opposed to the Kantian or deontological theories that we looked at over the last few weeks. The Kantian theory says that there are certain rules that we must follow, certain duties or obligations that we have to fulfill. Consequences be damned. We shouldn't care so much about what the consequences are going to be. That's all secondary. Follow the rule, and that will make you a moral person, a morally good person. Utilitarianism, on the other hand, is a kind of consequentialist moral theory. The consequentialist says it's the consequences that matter. It's the effects that your acts have on you, on others, on the environment, on animals. Right? Look at the consequences of your actions. That's how we determine which acts are good and which acts are bad. And utilitarianism is a particular form of consequentialist theory. The utilitarian says actions are right in proportion as they tend to promote happiness, wrong as they tend to produce the reverse of happiness. And by happiness is intended pleasure and the absence of pain. So this man we're looking at is John Stuart Mill, who was a proponent of utilitarianism. He was, in fact, the real popularizer of this view. It's a view that has a long history, but really a man by the name of Jeremy Bentham formalized the view, really put into words exactly what it meant, and began popularizing it. And then Bentham's student, John Stuart Mill, really cleaned it up, polished up the view, and really popularized it. And so it's Mill's utilitarianism that we turn to when we really want to understand the position in its fullest breadth and its greatest detail. So Mill says actions are right in proportion as they tend to promote happiness, and wrong as they tend to produce the reverse of happiness. Right? This is the greatest happiness principle. This says that we ought always to act in such a way that our actions tend to produce the greatest happiness for the greatest number. We ought to aim to promote happiness in our community, among our community, and aim to reduce the opposite of happiness, aim to reduce suffering and pain. That's what a good life is, one that aims to produce happiness and eliminate pain to the highest degree possible, or to the greatest degree possible. So I want to use this time that we have to clear up some common misconceptions about utilitarianism, some misconceptions that Mill himself was keen to try to clear up, was keen to try to correct, but some that linger even after being corrected many, many times. So we've already seen what utilitarianism is. You've already got the background of the theory from the other YouTube videos I've asked you to watch. So here I really want to just focus on these confusions that often arise and make sure that we are straight on these. So the first confusion that often arises is to confuse utilitarianism with what's sometimes called egoistic hedonism. So utilitarianism is a kind of hedonistic moral theory. And by hedonism, we just mean that it's focused on pleasures and pains. It says that the goal is to maximize the amount of pleasure that is available to you, or that is in existence, and to minimize the amount of pain or suffering that is in existence. An egoistic hedonism is one that focuses on you, on the individual. An egoistic hedonism says The goal of morality, or the goal of action, is to generate the greatest happiness for you, the most pleasure for you, and the least pain for you. But that's not what utilitarianism is saying. Utilitarianism is saying we need to look at the sum total of all happiness. It's not just my happiness that matters, but the happiness of all of the people around me, all of the people in my community, all of the people on the planet, and not just all of the people, perhaps, but any sentient being, any being that is capable of feeling pleasure and pain, any being that's capable of suffering, their pleasure and pain matter. And what we ought to do is act in a way that tends to promote their pleasure and tends to inhibit their pain. We want to create the greatest happiness for the greatest number. So it's not just me that matters. It's not just my family that matters. Everyone's happiness counts the same. As Mill put it, as between his own happiness and that of others, utilitarianism requires the individual to be as strictly impartial as a disinterested and benevolent spectator. What does that mean? Well, it means imagine that you are a disinterested judge sitting back and watching things unfold, and you are a benevolent judge. You want everyone's lives to go well. It's from that perspective that we judge whether things are going well, because we are completely impartial and disinterested. We have no dog in the fight ourselves, and we want everyone's lives to go as well as they can. That's the viewpoint of the disinterested and benevolent spectator, right? So Mill is not committed to this sort of, or utilitarians are not committed to this sort of egoistic hedonism. They don't just say, do what feels good, or do what will make you happy. They say, do what will most likely make the most number of people happy. So in the next video, I'll pick up with some more of these confusions about utilitarianism.